time. Welcome. I am very excited to be here with you and to brew coffee for you. Today I am brewing 13.5 grams of coffee. I am using Hario V60. In my experience, I came out to realize that Hario V60 ceramic brings out the higher clarity and the higher acidity. I am using fine grind because with this small dose, fine grind allows me to have a higher extraction without choking the brew bed. Also, I am using this tool. This tool, we call it the Malcolm tool. This tool, as you can see, it has a few lines and it's made to have a small indentation in the coffee bed. And the lines allow me to see how deep I want to go in each bed. So the idea of the use of this tool is that I can have an even saturation in a cone-shaped brewer. And this leads me to the recipe I chose today for you guys. This recipe is getting percolation close to full immersion. It's a hybrid recipe that will allow me to get the acidity and the clarity from a percolation brew method while having the mouthfeel and balance from a full immersion. This will have an outcome similar to the cupping setup. So to begin the recipe, I will add 2 small pours. The small pours are of 35 milliliters each, using a water that is at 95 degrees. These first 2 pours or 2 blooms will allow all of the CO2 from the bottom of the coffee to be released. So the coffee will no longer float. This means that when I add the rest of my water, there will be no grounds of coffee stuck in the walls of the paper filter. For these 2 blooms, I am using this fellow kettle. This fellow kettle has a slow rate. It allows me to have constant hot, fresh water fall on the bottom of the coffee, focusing on the percolation of this hybrid brew. The next brew is the last one, the third brew. That one is 130 milliliters. That's adding to a total of 200 milliliters. And remember I told you it's 13.5 grams? This adds up to a 15-to-1 ratio. For this last brew, I'm switching kettles. I am using this Brewista kettle because this is the full immersion focused part of the brew. I will add 1 large brew that mimics what we do when we do a cupping setup format. Adding a lot of water on top of the coffee will allow me to have most of the coffee in contact with the water. And because I am using a fine grind, it will be more and more saturated. This means that we will prevent bitterness, and it helps have a consistent cup. The water here is the same water as the previous kettle. The only difference is that it is at different temperature. The temperature for this water is 88 degrees. That is closer to what we do in a cupping setup. The cooler temperature allows us to get a more complex cup. The water for both kettles is aqua coat. Aqua coat at 60 ppm. Aqua coat is famous for having no buffers. Normally when we build water for competitions like this one, waters tend to have buffers, and the buffers remove acids. And one of the first acids that it removes is the tartaric acidity. This coffee has a beautiful tartaric acidity. And by having aqua coat, I am assuring that you are going to be able to taste that tartaric acidity. Now, we're very soon to begin the evaluation of this coffee. It will begin in Aroma. Very soon, I am going to hand you the servers that you can pick them up and serve. That way, you will be able to smell as much coffee as possible. In an aroma that will begin in orange, sherry, and caramel. Here you go. Take your time. Take your time and enjoy. Take your time and enjoy. I'll be back. Are you ready? Okay, please, follow the instructions. I am about to give you the coffee that you will begin tasting for hot using the cupping spoon. But please wait for warm and cool because I have more information about this coffee before you begin evaluating warm and cool. The coffee, I will give you all the descriptors now, and then later you will begin to evaluate only hot. The coffee, when it's hot, brings notes of orange blossom, black tea, sherry, and brown sugar. When the coffee is warm, we get orange, strawberry, black tea, and sherry. When the coffee cools down, we get strawberry jam, Earl Grey, and brown sugar. The body of this coffee is juicy, it's silky, it's medium. The acidity is citric and tartaric and it reminds me of pineapple. The aftertaste is sweet and long, like brown sugar. Now remember, you're about to begin tasting in hot. Wait for me until I tell you to evaluate warm and cool. I will give you a minute to begin with cold, and I'll be back. Are you ready? I just brewed coffee for you and gave you the coffee without telling you what the coffee was. I do this in my cafe. For the last 10 years I've been doing this. The reason is because when I give people coffee and they can taste it without knowing what it is, it will help with objectivity. So this coffee has more information because before you begin evaluating warm and cold. So I have to give you 3 main things about this coffee before you finish your evaluation. The first one is variety. The variety for this coffee is geisha variety. I've noticed that in this industry, people tend to be very subjective about geisha variety. Maybe because they have high expectations, or maybe because of other reasons. It is clear that geisha variety is unique and is beautiful, but it also added so much value to this industry. That's why today I am trying to honor this variety. Because since this variety was discovered in Best of Panama 2004, or let me say rediscovered because it's originally from Ethiopia, it added so much value to this industry, helping us do things like we are doing right here. This variety also changed the livelihood of so many families in coffee, farmers especially, like my family. That leads me to the second key thing you need to know about this coffee before the finish of the evaluation, the region. This coffee comes from Boquete, Panama. That's my hometown. The farm is Elida State, and this specific coffee grows in a lot called Torre, 1,800 meters above sea level. In this lot, combined with this variety, makes a really special coffee, but not without the third and last part, the process. The process for this coffee is a hybrid process, the same way we did with the recipe. The hybrid processing is a hybrid between natural and washed. How is this? When we pick the coffee in the full sherry, we put it on the fermentation tanks for 5 days, so it ferments. After the 5th day, we take it out of the fermentation tanks. Then we depulp it, we wash it, and we dry it. Allow us to dry at cooler temperatures. That way, this hybrid process allows us to get florality like orange blossom from the wash, while getting the fruits like cherry and strawberry from the natural. The combination of a hybrid process, a hybrid recipe, and a unique coffee allow us to enjoy in a very hybrid experience. I already asked you to begin the evaluation of the coffee using your cupping spoon, like coffee professionals do. Now, I ask you to pick up the cups and enjoy it the way we do it when you're a guest in my coffee shop. Pick it up however you want from the cup directly. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this moment as much as I did. Time.